like that. Woo!
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Mathews, aka B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos. Hit that notification bell, buy a subscribe button. Let's get it popping. All right. Like y'all know the drill, you know what I'm saying? Wipe your feet before you enter this house, you know what I'm saying? Hit that like button when y'all come in, comment, you know what I'm saying? Share y'all thoughts. I love having y'all. I appreciate all my subscribers, followers, supporters on the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. You are much loved. Anybody who wants to hear one of the hottest podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, iHeartRadio, please refer them to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. You know what I'm saying? We present quality information. Me and my co-partner Rick Masters follow us on all platforms, you know what I'm saying? Instagram. Our Instagram is at _ the pull up _. Y'all can see it on the screen right there. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all platforms, you know what I mean? The Pull Up Basketball Podcast. But that's enough of that. Let's get to business. I did a video yesterday regarding a situation in the aftermath of the Miami Heat game to the Boston Celtics, which they won on Monday, or it was a Tuesday, they took in a 1-0 lead over the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I chose to give props to a particular player on the Miami Heat, who was the all-star small forward, Jimmy Butler, who had 41 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks. All around great performance by Jimmy Butler, you know what I'm saying? And I made a comparison based off just not that game, but the entire playoffs and me having more chance to watch Jimmy Butler throughout the years in situations like this. When I talk about situations like this, I'm talking about postseason playoff situations. Watching him throughout the season and then watching who he turns into in the playoffs. I made a confirmation of Jimmy Butler, a bold statement about him. And some people still seem to kind of not understand my point. So allow me to do this video once again and post this on the platform to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying. So here we go. I made the comparison that Jimmy Butler compares to Kawhi Leonard. Okay. Now, let me just be very clear again. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is a better player than Kawhi Leonard. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is as good as Kawhi Leonard. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler has done or accomplished more than Kawhi Leonard. So I just want to get that out the way because that's the number one thing people jumped on me that did not agree with my statement. They took it and they misunderstood what I'm saying. So that's why I'm doing this video again. All right. What I'm saying is Jimmy Butler resembles Kawhi Leonard more than anybody in the NBA. I can prove it right now as we go through the list. Let's start with point number 1. Again, look how they both came into the league. Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard came in not as lottery picks. They were drafted in the first round, right? But they weren't lottery picks like, first top 10 picks. Kawhi Leonard was drafted at the 15th pick in the first round. Jimmy Butler was drafted at the 30th pick in the first round. Kawhi Leonard went to a mid-major out here at San Diego State University. Jimmy Butler went to a mid-major in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Marquette University. Okay, so they both came into the league with a chip on their shoulder. As a matter of fact, I remember Jimmy Butler. There's a story about him getting into Marquette University, the only D1 university offer he had, going into a local McDonald's in his hometown of Tomball, Texas, and faxing his transfer information because he went to a junior college prior to get into Marquette at the last minute. Kawhi Leonard had offers from other Division I schools, but he chose a mid-major San Diego State, which was not a big-time school. Take my word for it, San Diego State was never a big-time basketball school. A few of my friends I know went to San Diego State. It was always a good school, but now they've really upped their program to one of the best in the country. And Kawhi Leonard is responsible for that because they got to I believe, the Elite Eight when they faced Kemba Walker and lost in that game out here in LA. So they really uprose that program. That's beyond the point. That's beside the point. They both came into the league as underdogs. Okay, that's point number 1. Number 2, their measurements. Kawhi Leonard 6'7", 230 pounds. Jimmy Butler 6'6", 215. They're both small forwards. They're both long. They both have big hands. Kawhi Leonard, of course, has some of the biggest hands in NBA history, and Jimmy Butler also has pretty big hands as well. Okay, they both have a frame where they're not super like muscular, but they have a very cut frame, but they're extremely strong. Which means when you play up against them, they're not really allowing people to really move them out the way. If y'all think about it, who really moves Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler out the way when they're guarding them? Right? No one really moves Jimmy Butler or Kawhi Leonard out the way. But on the offensive end, if y'all look at it, Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler always seem to work in the post. Um, they're always able to, somewhat move their defenders out the way, but nobody can move them out the way. You know what I'm saying? Very ironic. Look at how they came into the league. When they came into the league, they were both defensive specialists. Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard were defensive specialists coming to the NBA. Am I not lying? Somebody please put that in the comment section and correct me. But as far as I know, Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard did not have um, very like high impact offensive seasons. They didn't start scoring 20 points per game till around their fourth or fifth years. Both of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi Leonard, y'all remember in 2014, he didn't even score 20 points in that 20 points per game in that NBA Finals. His job was to nullify LeBron James and be a person to bring the energy on the defensive end. That was Kawhi Leonard's role. Jimmy Butler took a lot of that same role when the Bulls faced the Cavs. Jimmy Butler, when he was with Derrick Rose, was nowhere near offensive players. He's a straight defensive player. So his job was the same as Kawhi's, right? They both elevated. Okay, that's our next point. They both elevated their games to become improve their offensive game, to become what they call elite two-way players. Okay, elite two-way players. What does that mean? That means you can play offense and defense at an elite level, a very high level. You can score 20 plus points per game, but you also one of the great elite defensive players in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard, y'all know, is a two-time all defensive player of the year, multiple all defensive teams, first teams, right? He's been known for, playing great defense, like I just said, against LeBron James in the finals in 2014. Last year, if y'all look at it, in the playoffs, because people like to just bring up numbers, but they don't understand the impact that Kawhi Leonard had on Luka Doncic, especially in that game 6, where he made Luka Doncic shot inefficient. But on the other side of the ball, Kawhi Leonard was able to score between 30 and 45 points on the other side. That's extremely hard to do, to play both ends when you're able to stop your man and also score and bust him up on the other end. That's what Kawhi Leonard has evolved into doing. Jimmy Butler is not as good as a defensive player as Kawhi Leonard, but he's still a really very good defender. He's a guy that does get after it on defensive end. Y'all saw what he did to Jason Tatum the other night. Pretty much took his lunch money, and he was able to give you 41 on the other side. That's who Jimmy Butler is. That's who Kawhi Leonard. They're both mixed with the same things inside. Okay, so that's also we're gonna go to the next point. When I talk about their improved game, what do I mean by that? There's some aspects of their game that they've really improved since coming to the league. One thing is their post game, like I just mentioned. They both love to operate in the post with a series of pump fakes, with a series of good footwork, solid. Their upper body strength. They're able to use their size as well, their skills to manipulate and take over the defensive practices of people who's guarding them. That's what they can do. They have the skill set as well as the size to do that and the ability. Another thing, their handles. Now, Kawhi Leonard, of course, he has better handles than Jimmy Butler as far as as far as a variety of different moves. He did not have that coming into the league, but he worked his tail off to get that. So he has better handles than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler does have very good handles, though. He doesn't have he just can't dribble the ball. He has ran point guard on for the Miami Heat. He has run the ball up the court. He can come downhill. He can do isolation moves, scoring moves. That's why they call him Jimmy Buckets for a reason, because he's able to get ISO one-on-one moves against the defender. So he has handles as well. But Kawhi Leonard, he's just a guy who's on another level when it comes to that aspect of handling the ball. Mid-range game, of course, mid-range game. Kawhi Leonard is one of the best mid-range shooters of all time, in my opinion. I keep telling y'all, the great scorers have great mid-range games. Um, MJ, Kobe, KD, Kawhi, like I just said, CJ McCollum, Chris Paul, um, Joel Embiid, even as a center. Um, the great players have a mid-range game. If you want to be a great three-tier scorer, you have to utilize that mid-range game off the pull-up, off the dribble, off the whatever you whether it's on the catch or whether it's on the dribble, you still have to be able to utilize that aspect of the game to be a complete scorer, right? Now, Jimmy Butler as well has a very good mid-range game. He does not shoot a lot of three-point shots. Here's another thing about them too. They don't shoot a lot of outside threes. They like to operate more in the mid post. They like to operate on the elbow. They like to operate on the wings. Um, they'll take threes, but they prefer to take more high efficient shots. Kawhi Leonard is a 49% career shooter. Jimmy Butler's a 46. Jimmy Butler averages 17.7 points per game in his career. Kawhi Leonard has 19.2. So Kawhi is, like I said, I'm not saying Jimmy's better. I'm saying Kawhi and Jimmy both have a lot of the same DNA and same mindset when it comes to mentality and when it comes to actual game, right? Let me also talk about another aspect that's very, very underestimated with these two. They both prefer winning over individual numbers. Now, I just brought up the point. They're both career-wise, they're below 20 point per game scores. When Kawhi Leonard's career is over, he's going to be one of the most unusual people how we rank him because his numbers aren't eye-popping. A lot of that has to do with how he came into the league as a defensive specialist as far as scoring, but also even now, like he doesn't command to take a lot of shots. He's not a high volume shooter. He doesn't mind getting up the ball to his teammates and letting them cook. Vice versa, taking like 30, 40 shots. That's not who he is. He wants to win and he wants to affect the game in all aspects. That's how Kawhi Leonard operates. Jimmy Butler is very similar to that. He had a 41-point game just on Tuesday against Boston, but he'll turn around in this game. We've seen him do it before. We have like, somewhere between, 18 to 22 points on purpose. Not that he's not capable of scoring that again. It's that the fact he wants to empower his teammates. And the way to empower your teammates is to get them the ball, let them feel the ball, let them touch the ball as well. He's not going to shoot like 25, 30 shots. Again, that's not who he is. That's the same thing with Kawhi Leonard. Very similar in those aspects. Another thing, like I just said, we're in the playoffs right now. Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler turn into different animals in the playoffs. Their points go up, their rebounds, their assists, their efficiency, their focus, everything goes up. Draymond Green said it best on the podcast. He said, certain players are made for the season and then certain players are made for the postseason, the playoffs. That's very true. There's certain guys that look very, very superstar-like in the season who go out there and just, tear the league up in the season mode. And when they get to the postseason, then you just ask yourself, what happened? What happened to their game? These two are the complete opposite in a good way because they'll still be good in the season. They'll still average somewhere around 22 to like 25 points throughout the season. But then they'll turn around in the postseason, the playoffs, where you really need your stars to step up and average somewhere around 30 points a game. Jimmy Butler's averaging 29 points right now. Just put away the Philadelphia 76ers in a game 6. He just took the challenge to Jason Tatum in the game 1, where a lot of people were saying Jason Tatum was arguably the best player in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler's looking like that's a challenge I'm gonna take. Kawhi Leonard, the same thing. Just last year, he was averaging 30 points per game on 57% shooting before he got hurt. The first 2 games when Dallas beat the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, they were riding the Clippers out, saying that they're going to lose, that Luka Doncic was better than Kawhi Leonard, all these sports shows. And then what does Kawhi Leonard do? He wills his team into game 6, and then he beats them in game 7 to prove he's the better two-way player. Okay, two-way player, not just the one-way player that can just pass. Like I just tell y'all, a person, if they do not play defense, will never be the best player in the league in my book. Okay, and now I'm just going to the next aspect, killer mentality. I just mentioned their will, how they're able to will their teams. That's that certain thing inside of you that you have, right? To That doesn't matter about your shot, or doesn't matter about, how pretty your handle is, how pretty this is. It's about what do you have inside of you. Me and you, I look you in your eye, you look me in the eye as a competitor. My will against yours. What are you gonna do about it? That's what an athlete, as a superior athlete, has. You know what I'm saying? The mental makeup, the mindset to believe that I'm the best player out here. Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard they believe the same thing. It's just that one person is loud and brash with it, a la Jimmy Butler. The other one's quiet and stoic with it. That's Kawhi Leonard. But they both think the same way. Okay. Um, and like, let me just bring this one of these last points in. I don't understand why people are so surprised of this comparison, because if y'all don't remember, before Kawhi Leonard came to the Clippers, and like I said, I'm happy with PG. I'm happy we got Paul George as our second running mate for Kawhi Leonard. I think he's been great. He's been holding inside the bargain, outside the bubble, but he's been big for us, and I believe they're going to win the championship next year. But let me just make this point. Before Kawhi Leonard called for PG to come team up with him, do y'all remember the person who Kawhi Leonard called up to team up with him first before Paul George? It was Jimmy Butler. Kawhi Leonard wanted Jimmy Butler on the LA Clippers as a second running mate. Go look it up. It was Kevin Durant first, and then it became Jimmy Butler, and then it was Paul George. But the problem with Jimmy Butler is that he wanted to come out here to LA. But the problem is that they're waiting up on Kawhi for the Lakers, and then Jimmy Butler, by that time, after the Lakers situation didn't go through, he already made plans with Miami. So he told Kawhi Leonard that, I'm going to Miami to make my own team. He moves to his own beat, by his own drum, like Kawhi does. They both move to their own beat, their own drum. Is that Jimmy Butler, he's going to let you know about it. Kawhi Leonard, he's going to kind of, just go out and just move with his business, and not, I feel like he doesn't owe you an explanation. They're two different personalities, but their games are very similar. Their makeup is very similar. Mentality is very similar. How they came into the league is very similar. Two-way players, playoff mode, they're different, activated. There's a lot of similarities between these two. Okay? Now, I hope that really nailed in a lot of people's heads on what I'm talking about, on why I feel the way I feel about these two. Because I got a lot of people that did agree to my point, but I also got a lot of people who just was looking at me like I was just like, what? Like, you're saying Jimmy Butler is better than Kawhi? I said, no, I said they're very similar. All right? And I don't think that I'm crazy about that. So y'all take it how y'all want to take it. I'm out of here, you know what I'm saying? Continue to like, share, subscribe all our YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying? iHeartRadio, Twitter, TikTok, like, share, subscribe, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull it up. Peace. Out here like swimwear.